How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Riley's Redzone, and in today's video I'm going to go over every Week 17 NFL game, give my thoughts for who I think will win the game, as well as, once again, we do have a guest picker. So let's quick recap last week before jumping into what is on the table for this week. So last week, not my strongest performance, but did at least get back to 500, landing at 8-8. So overall, I'm 148-92 on the season. 25 of 54 on my underdog picks. Last week was not the strongest performance in those, as I flipped a lot of games due to quarterback injuries that, looking back, I should have just stuck course with those. But Cody, our guest picker, did go 10-6, tying him for third in the guest pick standings. But this week we have another member who is going to enter this list and try to get up in this tier of those standings, and that is Alex for this week. So he's going to give his picks as well. He gave them to me, so I'm going to explain what he chose, and we'll see where he ends up on that leaderboard as well. So let's jump into this week's slate of games. A lot of games where teams need to get a win to maybe stay in playoff contention, clinch a division, just a lot of potential scenarios, and it's getting to the end of the season, and these games mean as much as ever right now. So let's start with the Thursday night matchup. We have the Joe Flacco kind of revenge bowl, if you want to call it that, the Jets and the Browns. The Jets last week, I thought with Trevor Siemian wouldn't be able to move the ball, and they get off to that absolutely astonishing early lead against the Commanders. The Commanders, of course, do come back a little bit and almost pull that game off somehow, but in the end, the Jets do get that victory, so they showed they can still put up some points. Their defense is great, but debatably an even better defense and one of the best in the league is the Cleveland Browns. And Joe Flacco, let me just confirm it. It's not 2013, it's 2023, but he's still absolutely slinging the rock around, and they are balling. I'm really excited to potentially see the Sauce Gardner and Amari Cooper matchup here, because Amari Cooper went off against the Texans last week, but I'm expecting a fun one here. It's all going to depend on the Jets offense for me, but I trust the Browns offense more than I do the Jets offense. Both great defenses, so if I had to pick between the offenses, I'm going to take the Browns. Alex is going to take the Jets, so that one will be a split game. Browns are currently 7-point favorites after their hot performances the last few weeks. Lions and Cowboys. You know, I think about the playoff game back in the day. I think that was about the last time the Lions were in a playoff game, just about, back in about 2014. But it's been, for these two teams, a strong season for both of them. They're both in contention still to be some of the best in the NFC. The Lions just won their division. They're going to host a playoff game for the first time in about 30 years. But these two teams are both in that double-digit win range already. And the Cowboys, of course, almost win last week against the Dolphins, but weren't able to pull it off. That was a huge moment to me in that season. It's going to be, are you able to beat those above-average teams? But they were so close, but unable to do so in the end. Meanwhile, the Lions, of course, as mentioned, did win their division already, but they always seem to play these games semi-close. I mean, the Vikings had a shot until the end last week, and they've had a lot of other games where I don't think they're able to put away the team. And although the Cowboys haven't beaten a ton of above 500 teams, I think that they will bounce back this week. They are 6-point favorites, which may be a little much to me, but I believe that they are going to have a strong performance at home, which is the key here. So I'm going to take the Cowboys, and so does Alex. So we've got two Cowboys there in that game. Now the Dolphins and the Ravens. Maybe the best matchup of the week. Back-to-back weeks, these are the two AFC teams that took down what some people thought could have been the best two NFC teams. The Ravens are able to defeat the 49ers in quite a dominant fashion on Monday night. Meanwhile, the Dolphins on Christmas Eve were able to still get the win, as we just talked about with the Cowboys. The Dolphins are on the other side of that. They barely pull off the win, but they do. That was a statement win to me for both teams, proving I think this is maybe an AFC Championship preview, potentially, depending on how things go. But at home, I'm going to go with the Ravens. This, of course, could be upset city, and it just seems like the power rankings and the MVP, like nothing is consistent right now in the NFL. The teams keep flipping, the top players keep flipping, and so anything could happen. This could be a certain upset, but for now, I'm going to take the Ravens. So is Alex. 3.5 point favorites there. It's got to be maybe the most fun game to watch of the week. So get your TVs on that one if you have to pick one. And the Titans and the Texans. Two teams with quarterback injury concerns at the moment. We are unsure what the status will be for both CJ Stroud and Will Levis going into this game, but I'm going to play the cards as if they're both playing. If they both weren't, probably changes things. As you know, Case Keenum has been in there for the Texans. Davis Mills are options as well. They've both been in there, and either one, I think their ceiling is a lot lower, and it's just kind of there. Whereas Tannehill started a lot more games. But assuming both the quarterbacks are healthy, we got Levis versus Stroud. I believe that the Texans, even though they have been kind of sputtering the last few weeks, I think that they early in the season showed a lot of capabilities on offense that if they put up one of those performances, it should be enough. So I'm going to take their defense and just their overall explosiveness on offense, I think will be stronger. The Titans, though, I'll tell you what, if they don't win the game, they always keep it close. Even last week against Seattle, it's always a close game. So I'm going to go with the Texans here. So is Alex in this matchup. 3.5 point favorites there are the Texans. Now the Saints and the Bucs. I'm going to shoot you straight here. This is what happened to me. I went through my picks, and I went with my formula, and I found out that every game I picked, the favorite was who I had, and that is just not going to happen. And I like to swing for home runs, not singles or doubles. So with that being said, you have to take some shots at the board. And so where I looked to maybe pick some upsets here are division games where the other team wins this second matchup. And so the first one that I'm going to look at here is the Saints and the Bucs. The Bucs have slowly been climbing up the ranks, and I'm beginning to believe that they are maybe the best team in this division. Potentially, you can make a case getting towards a top 10 team in the league. They are potentially legit to host a playoff game. They are just winning, and they are putting up a lot of points. Baker and that squad is rolling, and it's just enough, though, where the Saints have been so inconsistent, but if you get them on a good day, I think that they can score a lot of points, put up a good defensive performance, and so although this game could go either direction, me and Alex are thinking the same thing here. We're both going to take the underdog Saints in this game. As mentioned, for me, it's just the Bucs won the first game. Do I think they're maybe the better team and it's at home here? Yes, but seeing a team twice, it's hard to beat a team twice. So I believe that this is a potential upset opportunity. I'm going to take the Saints in that one. Now the Raiders and the Colts is another upset opportunity where this is for me, the almost upset of the week. The one I'm not quite going to take, but certainly has a chance of happening. It's just which is kind of legit, which has been a true team. The Colts have been a little bit, to me, they have one of the better records, but they haven't maybe played as flashy as some of the other teams in that range, but they are getting wins. But they, of course, aren't able to pull off the win against the Falcons last week. And I, of course, also talked about last week that everything I was saying made it feel like a trap game, that the Falcons were going to win, and I should have stuck to that. But I went with the Colts. They are winning games, though, just maybe not in the craziest fashion you've ever seen. The Raiders have maybe looked like one of the best teams over the last 2 weeks. I mean, you literally played well enough to get a coach fired against the Chargers, and then last week they beat the Chiefs in what was a very tough game in Arrowhead, and it was a sloppy game, obviously, but those are really those physical games that if you can win, you feel a lot better. I don't know if they're going to be able to ride that much momentum, though, especially just because their quarterback didn't complete a pass going into since the first quarter by the end of the game. I mean, so quarters 2, 3, and 4 didn't complete pass. I don't think you're going to be able to win those games very often as they did last week. So I'm going to go with the Colts, although once again, the Raiders have been playing like one of the best teams over the last 2 weeks, but I'm going to go with the Colts. Meanwhile, Alex is going with the Raiders. That one scares me quite a bit because I think that one could happen, but I I just couldn't, when I was looking at games to flip, that wasn't one of them I could quite pull the trigger on an upset for. But that one should be an exciting game. Patriots, Bills. Patriots, Cody called the upset last week. He called game, and that absolutely happened with that game-winning field goal. But this week, the Bills squeaked out a win against the Chargers last week. Not going to lie, it was very, very close, a little too close for comfort. But Josh Allen has them rolling right now, and they are playing like one of the best teams in the league. They're riding a lot of momentum. They're getting better as the season is going on, which is where you want to be going into the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Patriots, I still just don't have that full confidence in yet offensively, and so for me, I'm going to go with the 12-point favorite. But guess what? 2 weeks in a row, we have the guest picker taking the Patriots in a stunning upset, and it happened last week, so who's to say it couldn't happen again? So I've got the Bills. Alex has the Patriots in that one. Cardinals versus Eagles. We have the potential Jonathan Gannon revenge game here. He was, of course, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles last season, but now he has his own team. The Cardinals have bitten me quite a bit because I have taken them as an underdog a number of times this season, and they haven't always delivered for me. And I can't against the Eagles, who we knew eventually were maybe going to slip a little bit because they weren't winning those games convincingly. They have still played well enough. They're a great roster. I have them as a top 3 team in the NFC right now. And so I believe that the Eagles take care of business at home, really game changer. But what's going to happen is probably this is the week the Cardinals pull off an upset because I don't pick them, and it's a former coach going against. I mean, that is a storyline that I could for sure see happening. But to be safe here, I'm going to go with the home favorite. The Eagles by 10.5 is their current spread, and Alex is also going to go with the Eagles. So unanimous pick there, but that one should be fun, at least with the storylines. Falcons, Bears. The Falcons have been maybe the most inconsistent team. They seem to flip every single week. They win the games I don't think they're going to, and they don't win the ones they should. This week, though, the Bears I just thought weren't going to be able to pull it off last week because everything wasn't quite clicking, but Justin Fields is playing really, really well, and I thought it was going to be the supporting cast that wasn't able to get it done besides him, but they get that win. I think they keep it rolling this week. They're 3-point favorites. 2 teams that I feel hesitant on, but when you play them against each other, somebody figuratively has to win, right? Unless it's a tie. So I'm going to go with the Bears. I just have more trust in them that they have at least been scoring points, and Justin Fields is playing really well. The Falcons are just inconsistent. So I'm going to take the Bears at home. So does Alex in that one. 3-point favorites are the Bears. We have the Niners and the Commanders. The Commanders this morning make the announcement that they are going with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Niners still a top 2 team to me right now. They, of course, lose to the Ravens, though, on Monday night. But I don't know where the Commanders are going right now. I have concerns of Brissett has been playing better for them when they get him in there. It's just tough to really make that decision now because Brissett provides an opportunity to win now, but of course it's too late in the season. And I still think that a team like the Jets regrets not trading for Jacoby Brissett at some point because he's good enough to be a top 32 guy to me in this league, at least to be a bridge guy while you train a young guy in. And I respect them though for going with Howell. It's just hard at this point in the season, and now you got to really say move on. But I don't know what will be the future of the Commanders, but for this game, I need to go with the 49ers. I know they weren't able to deliver. It feels like, they've had a couple games where they just historically don't deliver against those top teams, but their system is still phenomenal. I'm going to have to go with the 49ers over the Commanders here. So is Alex in this one. We've got the Rams versus the Giants. The Rams are playing like one of the better teams in the league right now to me with Stafford, and they have Nakua going and Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. Their offense is phenomenal, and the Giants make a quarterback switch now to Tyrod Taylor, and although it was a great run for Tommy Cutlets, we see Tyrod now at the starting quarterback position. And I have to go with the Rams here just because they are playing better football to me as one of the top teams in the league as the last few weeks. But Giants maybe getting something to change at home could be something that sparks a change, and Alex is on that side. He goes with the Giants. I'm going with the Rams. The Rams are favored by 6, but at home, quarterback change, maybe that is a potential recipe for success. So we'll see what happens in that one. But the two cat teams here going up against each other. We have the Panthers and the Jaguars. Ironically, we had the bird teams with the Cardinals and the Eagles earlier, but now we have the Panthers and the Jaguars. Almost picked the Panthers last week over the Packers, and just like they almost got it done, but Packers still pulled off that win, and the Jaguars have not been playing great as of late. They just, since that Trevor Lawrence injury, really, I just think that even when he hasn't missed a game yet, but they just haven't been the same since that night game injury, but against the Ravens. But for now, I still think that this is their chance here to get a win against the Panthers. Panthers have been close, but I think the Panthers at home might be a little bit more potential to win. But for me, I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I know they have not been playing great the last few weeks, but I don't trust the Panthers a ton. But Alex goes with another potential change the game upset here. He's got the Panthers. So Jaguars favored by 7. We'll see which, I was going to say kind of cat, is able to pounce on that opportunity there between the Panthers and the Jaguars. And now the Steelers and the Seahawks. The Steelers had Rudolph shine so bright on that Saturday, and that really was a shocker to me. I've been a fan of Mason Rudolph for a long time, but I didn't think it was really gonna change what was gonna happen. I thought Jake Browning was gonna perform better, but Steelers pull off that win. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, ever since they switched, since they had to deal with the adversity, I felt like, of switching to Drew Lock, I just saw though a kind of swag, a confidence level with Pete Carroll in the locker room afterwards. That team is rolling over the last few weeks. They aren't winning games convincingly all the time, like they only won by 3 against the Titans last week, but they are winning right now, and I think at home they're gaining some momentum. The Steelers, as mentioned, just come out of nowhere. I mean, George Pickens puts up a crazy performance this season, last game compared to what he did this season. So two teams that are playing pretty solid as of late. Steelers defense is really, really solid, but I think that the Seahawks defense at home is going to still put up a pretty good performance against Mason Rudolph, who doesn't have all the experience in the world. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home is really the biggest reason why. Alex has the Steelers. That one also scares me a little bit. That one is definitely a tough game to predict. I just have a little bit more confidence in the Seahawks at home. And now we have the last few games of the week. We have the Bengals and the Chiefs. Chiefs, of course, two teams really. Both of these don't perform very well last week. But I have some confidence in the Chiefs to bounce back here. It just was sloppy conditions. Now you should, hopefully, if it's not raining, have a chance to bounce back. But it really is becoming clear that there is not much for Mahomes to really do because it's just him out there. And Kelsey is still obviously the best performer, but still I think he at this point is maybe getting dragged down by just the continuous play, and maybe as he's getting older, not quite as easy, and he can't do everything for that Chiefs offense. So they need to have some other players step up. I believe this week could be the week against the Bengals, who have not shown to be a super dominant team. We'll see how Jake Browning performs though. Maybe this is a revenge opportunity, but from last week. But I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one, so is Alex. And the last two games, some breaking news this morning on Wednesday of when I'm recording this right now. The Broncos are making a significant change at the quarterback position, facing the Chargers this week. The Chargers, of course, dealing with the injury of Justin Herbert, going with Easton Stick. They almost pulled off the win last week. They were pretty close. Pulled it within 2 last week against the Bills, who are one of the best teams. But the Broncos make the switch to Jarrett Stidham as they have some money guaranteed to Russell Wilson if he's unable to pass a physical. So they don't want him to get hurt, so they're benching him. Now, what this means long term, we'll see, because we've seen this now with a couple other quarterbacks that they didn't get another shot after what I was reading this morning. When they did this to Derek Carr, that team eventually gave up on him last year. You had Matt Ryan, same thing. Eventually gave up on him, and they weren't going to bring back the next year. So what this means for the future of Russell Wilson, not fully sure, but at the moment you just got to play it for now as if they have Jarrett Stidham, who a change at quarterback can always spark something, but when I looked at this I think is a prime opportunity for the Chargers to maybe get a little momentum as Easton Stick maybe puts up a good game. And as mentioned early in the video, when I'm picking these upsets, division games where the other team gets a shot to win. This one, I think, really just looking at the division games, they can always happen either direction. And when this one was a tight game to pick, I think the quarterback position really made an influence to me in this game. I'm going to go with the Chargers, and so does Alex. So we both are taking the currently 5.5 point, maybe it looks like it's getting that closer to 3-point underdog, still an underdog, but as the Stidham news came out, I imagine that line is changing. So we're both going to go with the underdog pick there. And last game of the week, another division game, Packers, Vikings. The thing with the Vikings is we don't even know who their quarterback is. Not even like figuratively who should they start, but they're going with another guy. No, we don't even know because they are keeping options open. And so I really don't know what is going to be their outlook on this. If I were the Vikings, I would be playing Jaron Hall because if you're going to have a turnover machine at quarterback, which we've already seen with Mullins and Dobbs, you might as well get the highs as well. And honestly, I might see confidence that Jaron Hall would not turn the ball over as much as those other two guys. So if I were the Vikings, I would go with Jaron Hall this week. See what you have for the future. They're really seeing right now the value of Kirk Cousins. He is absolutely making himself some money right now. But if I were the Vikings, I'd go with the rookie for the last 2 weeks. See if you just see anything, a reason for him to be the future. And otherwise, the Packers, they have an opportunity here. The Vikings beat them in their home turf earlier this season. And the Packers barely squeak out a win last week. Their defense, to me, has been atrocious over the last few weeks. But when looking at games to pick here, I think that this is an opportunity where you got some uncertainty at the quarterback position for the Vikings, and you flip that division game, as mentioned a couple times here. I'm going to take the Packers 2-point underdogs. So is Alex. So a couple unanimous upsets to end these picks in this video. So thank you so much for tuning in to this week's edition of the picks, and we'll see how it rolls next week. Last one, stay tuned. We're going to have quite a lot on the table. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.